Beloved in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, beloved in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, this is a very urgent message about Sunday Surge Part 2. Sunday Surge Part 2. When I was an intern pastor at First Church, they had a Sunday morning service that reached out, according to them, to First Day Christians. What they did, beloved, in the Seventh-day Adventist Church was they brought First Day Christians into their church on Sunday to hear Bible Adventist doctrines, and they fed them on Sunday after the service, and supposedly taught them Adventist doctrines on Sunday. Now, beloved, C.D. Brooks, before he died, the late great C.D. Brooks, he died June 16th, I believe, 2016, about a year ago almost now, about a year and a half ago now. He told them that this is dangerous, Sabbath services for Sunday people. They can make a decision whether to worship on Sunday or come to Sabbath services. Because what it does, beloved, is it allows them to consider worship, keeping the first day holy continually without necessarily making the divine sacrifices to keep the fourth commandment or worship on the Sabbath. Now, the Bible says that the fourth commandment deals with the Sabbath. And Sister White says the Sabbath shall be the great test to decide the destiny of souls in these last days. And it's almost like the first centuries. In the first centuries, beloved, in the first centuries, beloved, under Constantine, the Sabbath and Sunday were both celebrated. Sunday was a festival day, and Sabbath was a day of honor for Sabbath keepers. But more solemnity was given towards Sunday, and festivities was given towards Sunday, and more sacredness were taken away from the seventh-day Sabbath out of the commandment, beloved. So, beloved, when we start having Sunday services for first-day Christians and just preaching Adventist doctrine, we're having a baby image of the beast, beloved. A baby image of the beast. C.D. Brooks had it right. Sunday Surge is wrong, beloved. They tried to get C.D. Brooks, I hear, to change his mind on what he taught. But, beloved, he would not capitulate. He was a true man of God, beloved. Now, Revelation chapter 13 talks about a great test in these last days that will involve the first day of the week, in which the world will be brought to a great test in these last days in relation to the first day of the week, beloved. It says, "And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. He exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed." Now, what is this talking about? Another beast. This beast is America in league with apostate Protestantism. Its two horns is apostate Protestantism, which is its two horns symbolize Protestantism and Republicanism. So apostate Protestantism and Republicanism, meaning that it's a republic. Its government is formed by those the representatives of its citizens. It's not an authoritarian government like a king, like England or like other African countries that has a monarchical kingdom. And it's Protestant, meaning that it historically protested the papacy for its views when it came to papal supremacy, or believing that the Pope was the final authority. And also protested the Church of England, saying that we can also have freedom of religious liberty, and that's what they fled to the United States in that time period. And exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and caused the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. The first beast was the papacy, the Roman Catholic Church. It was healed the deadly wound began to be healed in 1929 when Benito Mussolini signed the Concordat, giving back the papal state all of its temporal power. That's when deadly wound began to be healed. He doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. So the miracles in which he does, he literally allows fire to come down from heaven in these last days. The false prophet, which is the United States government, through the apostate Protestant world, and the sight of the beast, which is the Roman Catholic Church, the papacy. And the seed within that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles, which he applied to the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword, and to live. The image of the beast is the apostate Protestant world in league with the United States government that enforces Sunday observance on Christians in these last days. So when we have Seventh-day Adventist churches involving themselves in ecumenical worship, like a Sunday Surge at First Church here in Huntsville, we have worldly singers like Sandy Patty coming to Oak University Church this past year to sing per se good song, but she was wearing her jury, that ecumenical worship in the church over there. And we have First Day ministers coming to evangelism council like T.D. Jakes and all those different men to preach for Seventh-day Adventists on how to be an evangelist. It goes against the second age message for them to come out of Babylon, according to Revelation chapter 14, 6 and 7, or 7 and 8, sorry, and Revelation chapter 18, verse 2 and 4. Babylon is fallen, beloved, and we do not need to go to them to learn how to evangelize or to mingle with them in ecumenical worship, beloved, through Sunday Surge and wild music in our churches. Beloved, avoid the wild music in these Seventh-day Adventist churches. Beloved, avoid the ecumenical worship. Beloved, avoid the first day worship, the baby image of his first day worship with Sunday Surge, beloved. It is an apostasy of the latter times. We need to stay away from Sunday Surge. Stay away from the jewelry that they're wearing in churches these days. Stay away from the dancing and the partying. Stay away from all the worldly things happening in our churches, beloved. Oh, beloved. I'm not going to let the Seventh-day Adventist church leadership shut me down for crying out against the apostasy. I'm going to preach and cry out against the apostasy, regardless if Oakwood does not give me my certificate this May, regardless if I can't come into even the present true churches because I'm considered to be controversial, because I don't believe women should wear pants in church, regardless if I can't register to get back into official Adventist church schools like Oakwood University because I believe I'm against women's ordination and spiritual formation and Sunday service. I'm going to preach present truth in these last days, beloved, and you should preach it too, beloved. Stand against the apostasy in these last days, beloved. Elijah the Tishbite said, I have not troubled Israel, but thou hast troubled Israel, thou and thy father's house, and thou hast forsaken the commandments of God, and have followed Baalim. So they followed Baalim, brothers and sisters, by bringing in the wild music into our churches, by bringing in the Sunday Surge movement into our churches, by long and modest dress like during our churches, by teaching pantheism in our schools like spiritual formation at Oakwood University, by teaching new theology, the once saved, always saved, sin and live theology, no victory over sin theology that the professors teach over there. That by doing all these things, beloved, they follow Baalim. And I'm not going to endorse it. I will not endorse it, beloved. I will preach present truth, even if it costs me my life, because I'm commissioned by God to give the straight testimony these last days, beloved. Pray for the church, beloved. Pray that we'll finish work in these last days, beloved. God bless you. Maranatha.